Hey, what's going on, friend? Juan Pablo here. I'm here today to share with you information on how you should structure the financing for your multifamily deal. So yes, you want to get into multifamily. The name of the company is 100% finance. For one, it means how to obtain an income producing asset using little to none of your own money. So that's what it means. But it also means you want to finance your deals 100%. But you should be aware of this. It's not just 100% financing. It could be 110% financing. Allow me to explain. Typically, for multifamily properties, I'm only talking about multifamily, not residential, 5 units and up, just to be specific, you want to structure the financing as follows. The mortgage company should finance 80% of the purchase price. That's called an 80% LTV, loan to value. So it's 80%. The other 10% should come from the seller. Now that's called seller financing, that's called owner financing, that's called a secondary mortgage, there's also called a junior mortgage. All those terms are synonymous. You follow? But 10% of the purchase price should come from the seller. It's all predicated upon how great you are at negotiations. So yes, you can negotiate seller financing, but the seller can only do 10%. Why? Because that's all that the mortgage companies allow. A mortgage company has a first lien position, and they get to dictate how the financing can somewhat be structured. So they won't allow a seller to do no more than 10%. Because I had that question asked before. Why do you have the seller do the whole thing? Well, multifamily, if you're using a mortgage, they only cap it at 10%. So if you do the math, that's 90% so far. 80% comes from the mortgage, 10% comes from the seller. So another 10% comes from you. That 10% is for the down payment. Now there's many ways you can finance the down payment. We preference business credit. Business credit is unsecured lines of credit or credit cards that you can liquidate and use that towards your down payment costs. So if you do the math, 80% from a mortgage, 10% from a seller, 10% business credit, that's 100% financing. But you want to have more than 100%, 110% even. Why is that? You also have to factor in, my friend, 3 additional costs. Soft costs, closing costs, and reserves. So prior to closing on a property, you're going to incur soft costs, which are as follows. Property inspection fees, appraisals, traveling costs, incorporating entities, so you have to pay an attorney for that. Those are costs that incur in the front prior to closing. That's called soft costs. Plus, when you close, obviously you got to pay closing costs. The real estate agent got to get paid, the mortgage lender got to get paid, the title company got to get paid, all these other companies that helped you get this deal closed, that's called closing costs, they got to get paid. And you also want to factor in, my friend, reserves at closing. You want to have at least 2 months of operating reserves in your bank account. So worst case scenario, if you buy a property and all tenants move out as soon as you own the property, no problem. You have 2 months of operating reserves and your bank account liquid. So that's why you want to have an additional 10% of the purchase price to cover those costs. That 10% will cover soft costs, closing costs, and 2 months of reserves. So that's why, my friend, you should always look to finance your deals, not 100%, but 110% financing. So as I mentioned, for the down payment, you can use business credit. Now, if you want to use business credit and you're curious to know if you qualify or not, by all means, all you have to do is book a call with us and we'll be able to provide you with solutions to your answers, all right? And it's definitely possible. So hopefully you found great value out of this. I'm Juan Pablo, and as always, this is to your success. See you later. Peace.